Good evening, everyone. Get my position better. Okay. This week's Parsha is Vaetchanan, Tafshin Pei Beis. And the Parsha begins the word Vaetchanan Hashem. Moshe says, and I pray by Hashem, Ace Hashi at that time, Limar saying, Hashem came, the Lord Hashem, you have begun to show your spirit, Eskat Locha, your greatness, V'Yadcha Chazaka, and your strong hand, Asher Mishmam Aretz, what power is there in the heaven and earth, like your actions and your mightiness. So, first, please let me cross so that we see the good land. This good mountain in the Lebanon. We know that Hashem had decreed upon Moshe and Aaron that they go in the desert and not lead the Jewish people into the desert. It's at this point that Moshe said that I implored Hashem to basically ask him to change his mind, to allow him to go in. But Moshe prayed that. What is that time that Moshe is referring to? So Rashi says at that time means at that time, after I conquered the lands of Sichon and Og, so it seemed to me that the vow of the promise had been annulled. So according to Rashi, Israel seemed to have been annulled. Why? Because that conquered the land of Og, we read at the end of the last chapter, people were basically approaching the river, and on the eastern side of the Jordan River, there were lands that belonged to the kings, fought wars with those kings and took over those lands. And those lands were given to 2.5 tribes, the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of the tribe of Manasseh. So Moshe says that we had conquered the land of Sichon and Og, which was to the Jewish people. So that means I had entered the land that was promised to our forefathers. Therefore, it seemed to me that the vow had been done. Now it's time to pray. And nonetheless, his prayer is up. That's how Rashi learns. It's time that I thought, what was the time of the since it was the time that act motivated, made him think he could pray and ask to be in the time of the land of Sichon and Og. The commentary about Turim has a different interpretation. This interpretation is based on the end of last week's Parsha. Now, at the end of last week's Parsha, Moshe says, you shall hear the Canaanite kings that you're going to work with. Your God, he is the one who will wish for you. So Moses was strengthening the Jewish people, afraid of the Canaanite kings, the mighty kings. Look at what you did as you conquered Sichon and Og. Look what you did. Look how you conquered these mighty kings. That through Hashem's providence, so too is you against the Canaanites. So according to Balaturim, what happens at that time, the Jewish people don't be afraid of the Canaanite kings. That's what they had to pray. Why? As the Balaturim says, Rome. Previously, it's written that Moshe told the Jewish people, don't fear. Israel, I strengthen the Jewish people their faith and trust in Hashem. I strengthen. Ulai Yerachim Alai. Perhaps he'll have mercy on me. Meaning, in merit for strengthening the Jewish people, that would be a merit to let me in. It's a fascinating idea. And how Moshe, according to this, Moshe Rabbeinu thinks or hopes that he can get that decree against him received. Why? Because he had strengthened the people. He encouraged them, he strengthened them, and because of that, that would be a merit for him to get into the land of Israel. It's an interesting idea. I'm just thinking that perhaps it means that I strengthen the Jewish people about conquering the land, meaning perhaps what the Baal Torah means that a little bit more specific, because I encourage the Jewish people and strengthen them in regard to conquering the land, that you say mida connected mida, measure for measure. It's not just a general that he strengthened them, but because he specifically strengthened them in taking the land of Israel, that for him to get the land of Israel. Now, also interesting to note that at the end of last week's Parsha, I only read part of there. I read the last pasuk, the last verse, but actually there's a few verses before that, and really it begins like this: the last two pasuk of last week's Parsha, and this is Perek Gimel pasuk of Aleph, chapter 3, verse 21. Ves Yehoshua tzivesi ba'esahi lemar. And I commanded Yehoshua, who was going to be the next leader, Einecha ro'ais, your eyes have seen, Eis kol asher asa Hashem Elokeichem b'shem lochem ha'ela. You have seen everything that God did to these two kings. Kenyasa Hashem lochal amam, so shall Hashem do to all the kingdoms asher ato eireshama that you are passing there. Hashem, your God, He is the one who will wage war for you. So if you read the psukim, it seems that Moshe is talking to Yeshua, not talking to the Jewish people as a whole. He's talking to Yeshua. So what does it mean when the Baal Turma says, I strengthened Israel, I strengthened Israel? He's talking to Yeshua, not to anybody else, seemingly. So the commentary of the Orach Chaim points out that clearly Moshe is addressing Yeshua, but in this last pasuk, Loi tira'um, you shall not fear them, that's in plural form. Tira'um means tira'u osam. You, plural, fear them. You, plural, shall not fear them. So that means that as he is talking to Yeshua, he's also addressing the Jewish people. There, Moshe is addressing the Jewish people. So he's saying his word to Yeshua, by now saying plural, he's talking to everybody. So although, again, his words were being directed to Yeshua, he still was talking to everybody, and therefore he had everybody in their resolve and in their trust trust in Hashem of conquering the land. Okay, the other part of the parsha I want to discuss is how at the of the parsha, Moshe repeats the commandments, the giving of the Torah. This is what happens at the beginning of the book of Devarim, where Moshe repeats some of the events that took place with the Jewish people in the desert. And he repeats the 10 commandments. Now, the first of the 10 commandments reads, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim mebeis avadim, that took you out from the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. The commentaries ask, Hashem is, so to speak, identifying himself to the Jewish people. And he's identifying himself as, I am the Lord of Egypt. So the commentaries ask, why didn't Hashem say, I am Hashem who created the world? That's the beginning of everything. That's the basis of Hashem's control of everything. He created the world. That's the starting point. The point is mastery of the world. Starting point is mastery of the world. Why didn't Hashem say, I am Hashem who created the world? The commentary is contemporary answer by Zev Left of a place in Eretz in Israel. And he actually begins his answer addressing or citing something further on in this week's Parsha. And this is in Perek Vav, chapter 6, Pasuk Chai, verses 20 through 25. It reads like this. I'll read it in English. When it came to come What is the meaning of the decrees, laws, and rules that the Lord has enjoined upon you? What are the meaning? Let's use that translation right now. What are the meaning of the laws that Hashem, our God, has commanded you? You shall say, and the Lord from the hand. The Lord wrought before our eyes marvelous and destructive signs and portents in Egypt against Pharaoh and all his household, and us he freed from there, that he might take us and give us the land that he had promised on oath to our fathers. Then the Lord commanded us to observe all these laws, to revere the Lord our God for our good for all days, and to give us life, as is now the case. It will therefore be to our memory before the Lord our God to observe faithfully this instruction as he has commanded us. So just to kind of put it together a little bit, the Chad asks, what are all these mitzvahs? What's the meaning of all these mitzvahs that Hashem has given us? And you answer, Hashem took us out of Egypt with great miracles to bring us to the land of Israel. Hashem commanded us to observe his mitzvahs, fear him in awe of him, for our good for all days, and to give us life. What exactly is the question, and what exactly is Moshe answering? What's the discussion here? Oh, not Moshe. What is the child's question exactly? Is the father answering it? So the commentary of Ibn Ezra says the child's question like this. Why is this yoke? Why is this great responsibility upon us more than anybody else? His question of what are these mitzvahs means is, Ibn Ezra, why do we have all these mitzvahs and other people don't? Why do we have this oil? It's a big responsibility. It's a big job. It's a lot to do. Why do we have it and other people don't? That's the question of the child. The answer is, Hashem took us out of Egypt, and he took us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, with great miracles and punishments against those who tormented us, to take us to the land of Israel that he promised his fathers. What that means is that when Hashem took us out of Egypt, he made it very clear to us that his interaction with us is for our good. He took us out of Egypt with great miracles, bring us to the land of Israel. This means that what he did for us at this point of time, when he took us out of Egypt, he can now let us know that what his This is the way that he let us know that what he does for us, interaction with us as people, is for our benefit. And when Hashem established for us to take us out of Egypt, now we understand the same path, the same idea. It's for our good, as the pasuk says. For our good for all days. It says all days means our life now and the afterlife. But we understand that everything, all these mitzvahs that he's given us is for our good. It's for our best. It's for our benefit. And he established that he's our benefactor. He established that what he does is for our benefit because we saw what he did for us in Egypt. Egypt, Hashem made it very clear to us that what he does for us as a people is for our benefit. Because that was very clear in the manner in which he took us out of Egypt for the reason he took us out of Egypt. And that already now was the that was the basis for everything that we do. He showed us, this is my interaction with you. This is why I do what I do for you. I took you, the manner he took us out of Egypt showed us that he's benefit, that he's doing for our good. Again, as Ibn Ezra says, he did for us this good. We're obligated to do his mitzvahs, meaning we do it, we understand we're obligated, we understand we should be doing this because we already see the good he's done for us. This is a continuation of that. That is the answer to the child. Why are we different? We are ready to go to Egypt. That Hashem has a unique relationship with us. And therefore, when he gives us mitzvahs, when he gave us commandments when we left there, it was a continuation of that benefit and goodness that he has for us in mind, that he has in mind for us. Therefore, says Rav, the reason why Hashem introduces himself or identifies himself as the God who took out Egypt is the first commandment. People here, when Hashem gives them the Torah, he says, I am the God who took you out of Egypt. You know I'm your benefactor. You know what I do for you is for your good. And then everything else that's going to follow, the rest of the Torah, the rest of what Hashem asks from us, the rest of for is benefit. Now, Rabbi Lev continues that there is a Gemara that makes the following statement. The Torah tchilasa chesed v'seifa chesed. The Torah starts off with kindness and it ends with kindness. Where does the Torah begin with kindness? That's because after Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, and they realized that they were undressed, Hashem dressed them. He gave them clothing. Where does the Torah end with kindness? Because when Moshe Rabbeinu died, who took care of his burial? Hashem. So the Torah starts with Hashem's kindness and it ends with Hashem's kindness. And therefore what? What's the point of that? The point of that is that the Torah starts with kindness and ends with kindness, and so to speak, the bookends are kindness, then that means everything in between is also kindness. Now, according to that, it's the mitzvahs that are kindness, to Hashem's kindness with us, and everything else that's mentioned is also for our kindness, which means that when Hashem warns us of punishments that could befall the Jewish people, punishments are not just venting his anger on us, not venting anger. It's about punishing us. It's about punishing us for our good, our benefit. If the beginning of Hashem's kindness and the end of Hashem's kindness, everything in me is kindness. Whether it's the commandments, the blessings, or whether it's the rewards for the destruction that can befall us. Rabbi explains, make this a beautiful explanation. Shabbos is going to be called Shabbos Nachamu. The Shabbos following Shabbos is called Shabbos Nachamu, which means Shabbos of be comforted. And we call it Shabbos Nachamu because the Haftarah of this week begins with the words Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Yomer Lekechem. The prophet tells the Jewish people, be comforted, my nation, says Hashem God. And the point of this comforted is don't think because and because of the fact that he has that means you're done. No. In fact, there'll be a point of time that you will come back, you the Jewish people will come back to Beis HaMikdash. You'll return to your state of glory and connection with the Shekhinah Divine. Commentators talk about why did the prophet say the words Nachamu, Nachamu twice? What is Hashem's message in saying Nachamu, be comforted twice? So I want to suggest the following. What comforting is the fact that you get put back, you return to your state of glory with Hashem. Be comforted in that. And be comforted that when not only will you be returned to glory and connection with Hashem you had before, but you will begin to understand about everything else that is up to this point. You can understand why Hashem did it to us, and then Hashem will show us why he did everything. How everything was part of a grand plan to eventually come to this point where you will return to God and reach the highest level the world is meant to be. So you are comforting the fact that you have returned. We comfort that at that point in time, you'll understand how everything was Hashem's kindness. And that everything was part of this ultimate plan. That's double comforting. Be comforted confident that you will return. Be confident in the fact that you will return, understand of Hashem in everything that happened up to this point. All the visions that you had about what has befallen the Jewish people all this time in exile. Understand. Answer the Mashiach. So be confident. Confident that you return. Confident that when the time comes, you'll understand Hashem's kindness and how to benefactor in anything that happens. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day.